Okay, well, hello everyone. My name is Tristan Schwartz, and this summer I worked in the data engineering department. A little bit of background on myself. I am from Pawnee, Oklahoma, and I'm currently attending Oklahoma State University. I just finished my undergraduate degree in management information systems, and I'm currently working on my master's in business analytics and data science, which I plan to graduate with in May of 2025. So, the job of the data engineering department is to connect people with the data they need to make good decisions. In this vein, my project this summer was to get data from Warren Rogers to help Gemini better refuel their stores. Gemini is Love's fuel, transportation, and logistics company. They transport around 95% of the fuel that's sold at all of the Love's gas stations across the country. And Warren Rogers is a company that has sensors in all of these gas stations. They monitor things like the inventory levels, which are updated every 15 minutes, along with each individual transaction that happens at the pumps, of which there are around 550,000 per day. They also monitor the deliveries when they're happening, their start time, end time, and the volume. Currently, Gemini only has access to the inventory levels data, and they're getting this through a third party. Occasionally, this third party will go down and they will be left without any information on inventory levels, which if your job is to refuel stores, you can imagine that's really important. When this happens, they rely on store managers to go out to the tanks. They stick a pole in the tank, pull it out, and see where the fuel is on there, and that's how they report back what the inventory levels are. This is obviously not near as accurate as the sensors are and not updated as often. So with getting this data directly from Warren Rogers, we're going to be able to better give the people at Gemini this information on a consistent basis. We're also now able to provide them with this transaction data, which will give them a better picture of consumer behaviors and give them a better idea of potential surges in fuel sales and when they will need to refuel stores. The final thing we're giving them is information on when deliveries are happening. They currently do have a method of getting this data, but it relies on drivers entering it manually, which can sometimes result in we have a delivery that happened today, but in the data it says it happened in 2035. Which is yet to come. This is the nature of having user-entered fields, so getting this data directly from Warren Rogers helps us avoid this user error. So, how do we get this data? The first step is to extract the data from the Warren Rogers API. We do this using Python, and it gives us a JSON file. Now that we have a file, we have to put it somewhere. So we use a software called Terraform, which lets us set up the infrastructure for our project. Using Terraform, I created an S3 bucket, a Snowflake landing table, and a Snowpipe. S3 is an Amazon Web Service that offers cheap file storage. Snowflake is a cloud database provider that Love's uses, and a Snowpipe is a cool feature that connects these two things. The Snowpipe allows us to automatically get data from an S3 bucket whenever it's uploaded and move that over to Snowflake. You might ask, why don't we just put the data directly into Snowflake? I had the same question. The reason for this is it's actually cheaper for us to put the data into S3 and then bring it over to Snowflake with the Snowpipe. This is because S3 optimizes their pricing for affordable storage, and Snowflake optimizes their pricing for affordable compute. So using the Snowpipe, we're able to take advantage of both of their pricing models. Okay, now that we have the data, it is in a JSON file, which is not very easy for humans to digest. So we use a software called dbt to put it in a tabular format like you're used to seeing in Excel. This goes into our staging table. At this point, we could give this to the Gemini analysts and they could use this data, but there's some information that's not useful to them, like the S3 file name. I created the S3 file name. It's not inherently valuable, so we remove that before putting the data that is going to be finally used by the people at Gemini into a reporting layer. So now we have a full picture of how we were able to get the data to the people at Gemini so that they can better refuel their stores. We first extract the data from the Warren Rogers API using Python. We then load it into an S3 bucket where our Snowpipe brings it into Snowflake. And then we transform the data using dbt into a final usable format. So thank you guys for listening. And if you have any questions, I would love to answer them.